Yeah, the other people we would like to thank before we move on are the good folks at Arts Midwest, who have funded this season of Rostocks, or of the Spectral Reading Series, going back to last fall. So this is the 5th of 6 events that they have sponsored. We have one more coming up later this month when we have MC Highland and Elizabeth Clark Wessel coming all the way from Stockholm, which is very cool. Yes, indeed, reading some translation of Swedish poetry and also reading from her new book that just came out. So that would be dope. Also, they're going to do a community write-in. If you were around in the fall when we had feature readers, they would like show up before the open mic. They'd kind of like have like a little prompt. Usually, we did like a little reading, and then we would kind of talk about the reading a little bit, and then they had a prompt. And we read some things, and some of the people actually read what they wrote on the spot at the open mic, which was very, very, very cool. So we'll be doing that again. So write-in at 6, open mic at 7, features at 8, always free at Spectra, because of people like Arts Midwest. So the Spectral Reading Series is supported by the Arts Midwest Gig Fund, a program of Arts Midwest that is supported by the National Endowment of the Arts, for right now, hopefully, and also in the future, forever, yeah. With additional contributions from the Illinois Arts Council, who also support us in all kinds of ways that are important. Please give it up for Arts Midwest, Illinois Arts Council, and everybody who supports the arts and performance in our communities. It's getting harder in these streets to do that, as you might be aware, and I'm not going to go too much into that. Suffice to say, at least locally, this week was the start of Birdies for Charity. I'm sure you all know about Birdies for Charity. If you don't, it's an easy way to support your favorite nonprofits in the area. Arts nonprofits, health and human service nonprofits, all the nonprofits. We are among them. Our Birdie number is 1370. Any support that you are able to send our way goes straight to general operations and youth programs. We do a summer internship program, or we do an internship program in the summer called Young Emerging Writers. We'll be celebrating our 20th anniversary this summer, so if you know any 15 to 19-year-olds out there who are into writing and have game and are interested in like earning some money and getting to go to a writing conference and stuff like that, send them our way, because we would like that. And it'll be cool when they publish a magazine. It's very dope. We also have a conference in the summer that's open for registration. We've got a great faculty. You'll be hearing a lot about that from us because we'll be noisy about it. We have so many programs coming up. I'm not going to belabor all the things about our programs, but there are many. We have workshops coming up 2 of the next 3 Saturdays, I believe. We have a Memory Keepers group, free writing group that's going to be on the 15th at 1 o'clock over at the library where we live, in the downtown Rock Island Public Library. Also, please support your public libraries. Like a lot of other things, it's getting harder for them. Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I don't think we have communities without libraries, so we're very fortunate around here to have a lot of great libraries, and your continued support of them is everything, so thank you for that. Check us out online, check us out on socials, where you will find Sarah handling most of that business. Pretty much all of that business. I don't know if I said most. I'm not there, which is good for y'all who might want to participate in those spaces. You don't want to talk to me. I mean, maybe you, I don't know. Who's to say? This is how it's going to, normally I would read one poem and then I would start introducing people, but since we are down an opener, I'm going to read more than one poem. We'll see how many poems that is. Not too many, I promise. I'll keep pushing. I write short poems. Then I will introduce Sophia Best, and Sophia Best will come up and read. That would be dope because we miss you, Sophia. Sophia worked at the Writing Center and was an intern in said internship program some time ago, and it's very exciting that you are back and reading here. And then we will introduce Elizabeth Willis, and we will have our minds blown by that. Also, if you don't have a copy of Liontaming in America, we're very fortunate to have them in the back. We're partnering with the Atlas Collected Bookstore over in Moline, selling those books. They made that up. Yes, give it up for them. Give it up for independent booksellers. We love them. So yeah, come get books. Go buy books. It's a book you need for sure. Okay, let's read some poems. Yeah, I'll just start with like the thing that I was gonna do, which I've never read before, and it's like super rough. So we'll just see how this goes. I don't know exactly what this is called yet, but the title at the top of the Word document had a slash through the middle of it. And so right now it's a friend in need gets pulled like a weed, but unchained. So a friend in need. No regard for our private lives or time away to be a part of an inner working, not just a gear tooth of capital spinning to grind out compassion and care, a load multiplied instead of shared, untied and apart from what unity we find in purpose and in practice. But this is not that, not a thing but loud preaching, stolen from a scripture or someone who studied the gospel, at least not in a pretend community, dirt pile skirmish in a war for the spiritual territory the cruel cannot possess or see, but they understand the danger of compassion and compete to pick clean the bones of kind attention.
Yeah.
Thanks. I didn't say it was going to be cheery. It's hard times to be cheery, but that's I guess what the poetry's for, right? Poetry, music, stuff like that. Yeah. I'll read. I read part of this before, I believe here. So this is a poem in 3 parts. A few weeks ago, I opened up for John Mueller here, and I read a bunch of poems that I wrote during the Feed Me Weird Things feast in Iowa City last October, early November. I wrote this around the same time, and I wrote this at a particular place in Iowa City. I know Elizabeth lives in Iowa City, knows Iowa City well. If any of the rest of y'all know Iowa City, are we familiar with George's Buffet? Okay, good. Let's say it's a safe space. Good. Yeah, great. You all, I should have figured, you all know what's up. Yeah, it's going to be good. So I wrote this kind of, I wrote this at George's Buffet over a period of time, kind of like to decompress from the other kind of heavier writing that I was doing. So this is a triptych, and it's called Devil's Night at George's Buffet. And if you know the movie The Crow, you know the reference like Devil's Night. Yeah, that's where we're coming from. The original Crow, just to be clean. So Devil's Night at George's Buffet. Get close to this light. 1, the orange and the egg. Shoot a blood orange with the bartender and see what else runs loose in the blood. Mercury and pot liquor and weird sounds from the Capitol. In booths and parking lots and picnic tables and lobbies, the haunt starts to rev up. The veil threadbare and the night barely alive yet. Not a note plucked nor a beat tapped out on the bar or on the back of my eyes, and so much trouble awaits if the circumstances provide like chickens. And what's not scrambled, not easy and over, and not an omelet made for a lover the next morning, and good Lord, the laughter might make a ghost of us all tonight and forever.
Yeah.
Thank you. 2, ghost story. There's a reference in the first line to fans of the University of Wisconsin at Madison. There was a football game, I think, going on at the time. So if you know what their mascot is, the Badgers. Anyway, 2, ghost story. The Badgers have replaced the Goblins. Dinner out and parties of too damn many. And sadly, it's warmer than it should ever be on the last day of October, and we hide in a familiar watering hole for cheap food and strong drink because right now, everywhere else is too fucking nice. People acting like in a week or tomorrow, anyone wearing contrasting colors will receive the same courtesy when their wallets are light and the knives come out and the holidays might not come, might be the last holidays, might be time to finally make a ghost of the phony idea of Midwestern nice, and no one will be around to clean up except the bartenders who've helped sustain us low these 85 years of cheers, and to the last only they and the poets know nothing is never last, never a call, always top shelf and haunted to the foundation. Thank you. 3, time keeps on Sisyphean. It's a pun, and you know, 3 fingers and short on waking. eternal lateness in some odd key that's not even a key, more a locket, a secret, a ghost, a cheat code to the atonal bliss heaven promises those with the courage to listen, with an ear to the ground, the nth degree, to the sorry shit sack stuck, pushing the world uphill every day, his boot heels wearing through and slipping away. What isn't slipping away? Time, not into the future, but into the trash, the landfill, the ocean, anywhere but where it and we belong. Thank you. I'm just going to read two more short ones, real short ones. So these recently came out in a journal called Ouroboros. Press is called Death Rattle. They're in, I think they're around like Boise State University. They're somewhere in Idaho. I can't remember exactly where they are in Idaho, but they do like a lot of like cool events, workshops, readings. Sound familiar? But they've got a press and they've got an online journal, and so these poems appeared in said journal. And these are part of a longer series that's called Persons to a Mirror, or at least until I come up with a better title, which is a reference to a series of poems by Jack Spicer, the great poet Jack Spicer. He wrote serially, he wrote books, like short books, that were kind of like interlinked poems or related poems. So this series is kind of in response to a series that he did called Admonitions, and they were all like dedicated to particular people, living or otherwise. So I'll read this first one, which is for Jack. They're all like for somebody. Some of them have subtitles, so I'll read two of these. This one's for Jack. Walk like you belong in the room, and the room is the world. You belong in a better world than this. But better in what ways is swampy and clear as a child's piggy bank idea of the truth. Soft as butter. Rest on the quality of your cutlery. The world awaits your hallmark, not your preferences and fuck buddies or fancy cheeses. Leave on the atmosphere an impression of the cheekbone of the side of your face you feel is most buttered and best. Oh, thank you. And I'll read this last one. This one's for another really amazing poet named Elizabeth Robinson, who, if you're not familiar with, you should definitely check out. She's got tons of books, and she's like totally brilliant and amazing, and knows her Spicer like chapter and verse. It's pretty great. So this is for Elizabeth, and there's a subtitle that comes from Spicer. Surprise. Vacant lumber. The so-called reason transparency lacks here and everywhere. A lack of care. The reason transparent, treason apparent, all wars end with the dead. Ghosts trapped walking around a hell of turnarounds in an inescapable neighborhood, and all the experimental radio and honey ginger tea won't steal us away or outside the city limits. The cities and their neighbors see no reason, manage barely a poorly fronted care. Make-believe friends, any made sense traded for a nickel bag of mead, cut with any poison or sawdust easily hidden. Our concern needs no window. Love unconcluded. Thank you. I don't usually do the phone reading thing, not for any particular reason, other than I like hard copy, and I think my eyes are getting worse. Thanks, y'all. Appreciate y'all. Shout out to Conrad. She's okay, and she's going to come back sometime and do something awesome. She's also, I think, for like another couple months, the Iowa Student Poetry Ambassador, which is basically like the youth version of the Iowa Poet Laureate. And she's the second of, I think, 4 or 5 of the students who've had that post that are from the Quad Cities. So, yeah, read into that what you will. but know that we read into that as well. So our next reader, our next reader is Sophia Best, who is awesome, and we're a big fan of. And we're so glad you're here. I just want to say that again on a personal note, Sophia. You rule. Thank you. Yes, you are welcome to cheer for that. Sophia Best is a current writing student at Western Illinois University in 2023. She won the Iowa Chapbook Prize and published Pink Bathwater, which is quite excellent. She participated in the Midwest Writing Center's Young Emerging Writers Program for 3 summers and is featured in the 13th, 14th, and 15th editions of the Atlas Literary Magazine. It's my great pleasure to welcome Sophia Best.
Hello, I'm Sophia. That's my name now. My first piece is titled, What I Would Say If I Was Capable of Speaking Kindly About Myself. I'm the type of girl who wears ribbon in her hair. I have the kind of under-eye circles you only get from reading late at night. My hair is black and short with ringlets and strands of gray, even though I'm young. My eyes are beautiful, big and brown with flecks of gold when the sun hits them just right. I make blankets for cats out of granny squares sewn together. I make them colorful because that's what the cats like. I like to wear jewels in my ears, sunstone and citrine, sapphire if it's my birthday. I find comfort in books about other people's lives. I like to write about my own days, mundane details that seem unimportant even to me. My next piece is titled Rottweiler. My mother describes me as if I were a dog. I am reactive. I am aggressive. She will collar and leash me, mold me into an obedient daughter. This is Arizona State Route 85. My dad says there's a road in the desert that the field mice cross at night, and if you feel a bump while driving, it means you've hit one. This reminds me of the poem about the crime of being small. I am small. I am on the road, dodging cars in the dark. This poem is titled Girls Like Me. Girls like me are a dime a dozen. Girls with curly hair, tan skin, and brown eyes. I wake up worried, fall asleep mad, rinse and repeat. Girls like me who have no money, who work hard and still fail, who have a wall between them and picket fences. Girls like me are too tired to fight back when beaten behind closed doors. This poem is titled Being in the Bathrobe, and this one, as well as the one I just read, were from Pink Bathwater. The hair in the drain is mine, watered down with sweet shampoo and body scrub not coarse enough to make the bruises go away. The hair in the drain is mine. It serves as a lifeboat for the sewer rat. It floats along stringy and pink and matted like a rug someone threw out in the alleyway. The hair in the drain is mine. I ripped it out myself, tired of its slow shed. This poem is based on true events that were slightly unfortunate. To the dead cat I found on my lawn this morning, I hope the cloth I wrapped your small dew-covered body in suits your taste. I hope you enjoyed the drive over to my parents' house where I buried you near my childhood pets. I'm sure it was your first time in a car, and I apologize that you were unable to look out the window and see the world beyond your neighborhood. I also apologize that I couldn't bury you in the earth you knew. I rent this house, and I have a feeling the landlord wouldn't like me digging up the yard. I cut a rose from my mother's rose bush and placed it on your body, rigid with rigor mortis. Though I did not know you, I will miss you. Sincerely, your makeshift mortician. This is lonely at the Valentine's Day themed birthday party. My sister's apartment is glowing in red light. There are vintage cards with sweet messages taped to the walls and a massive collage made out of old Playboy magazines. There are heart-shaped suckers in a glass bowl on the coffee table. We are all getting ready together in the living room, applying obnoxious amounts of blush and glitter. The guests arrive. There is an unwatched movie playing on the TV. I am introduced to people whose names and faces I won't remember. Everyone is so excited to meet me, the little sister they've heard so much about. It nears midnight. People are smoking cigarettes on the back porch, and I am sitting on the floor, too high to be anywhere else. I wonder how my sister has so many friends. I wonder why I don't have any. Thank you. This poem is still untitled, so forgive me. I walk into the 9th story apartment that smells like cat piss from the previous tenant, and I am reminded that sometimes things don't work out. People fall out of love, and one person keeps the house, the other gets the dog. Both are left trying to figure out who they are alone, and yet they aren't alone. The new apartment is filled with friends unpacking silverware and scrubbing the bathroom tiles. The aforementioned dog sleeps in her new bed. The world is over in one way and just beginning in another. There's still sadness in my chest. These two people who I thought would be in love forever are now divorced. I remember reading a poem at their wedding. It was on a farm and raining. I changed into overalls at the end of the ceremony. That was almost 10 years ago, and this is now. The apartment still smells like cat piss, but the plants look nice against the window, and the carpet can always be cleaned. This poem is titled Advanced Directives. When I die, do my hair in 2 braids and tie cream-colored ribbons at the ends. I will not have children, so give everything to my cat. Give away my organs too, the good ones that have not been damaged by living. Leave me my glasses though, and a pen and paper so I can write you from the afterlife. I do not wish to be embalmed. I'd like to be buried with all my blood in my body. I do not want any formaldehyde. The worms will not like the taste. No casket, please. I want to feel the soft dirt against my cold skin. Please pull out my teeth so my sister can drill holes in them and wear them as a necklace. Give her my metacarpals too, so she can continue to hold my hand. Also, fun fact, my sister does have one of my wisdom teeth. I have one last poem. This is a fun, silly poem. And it is titled Shy Boy. Shy boy has crooked teeth. Shy boy has crooked teeth and blue eyes. Shy boy has crooked teeth and blue eyes and long hair. Shy boy likes when I brush his hair. Shy boy likes when I brush his hair and asks for braids. Shy boy likes when I brush his hair and asks for braids but doesn't sit still. Shy boy likes when I write poems. Shy boy likes when I write poems about him. Shy boy likes when I write poems about him and read them aloud. Shy boy is in the audience. Shy boy is in the audience and is probably blushing. Shy boy is in the audience and is probably blushing and will probably tease me about this. Thank you.
Give it up one more time for Sophia. That was awesome. Thanks also to Shy Boy, who will not be directly identified for security purposes. That was beautiful. It's so nice to see you again, Sophia. Okay, so our final reader for the evening, I have the great privilege and pleasure of introducing Elizabeth Willis. I think we're going to have a little bit of like imagery up here too, which is going to be very cool. We don't have all that. That doesn't always happen for Spectra, and it's a blessing when it does. So, just a brief background about how we are fortunate to have this happening right now. So last October, it was October, right? The Iowa City Book Festival? Yes. We get to go to things like that in Iowa. We got friends in Iowa City. We were just in Mission Creek. We love a lot of people there. They're, it's fun. And so I went and saw Elizabeth read at Prairie Lights and read from the new book, Liontaming in America. And I used to live in Iowa City. I went there for undergrad, a million years ago. My daughter lives there. I go up there all the time. I've seen many readings at Prairie Lights of all different shapes and sizes. That one was really special. It was pretty incredible, and the book is even more so. It's a book that since I bought it that day, and it's trying to think how to frame. If you've been feeling a lot of the pressures and the heaviness that's in the air and a lot of what's going on these days, which is like pretty hard not to do, I think, if you have any kind of like heart or soul or feeling or humanity or fill in the blank, all of the above, probably, hopefully, yeah. You're at a poetry reading, so I'm going to go ahead with yeah. This is a book that I've really been coming back to a lot and kind of wrapping myself in a little bit, and it's so visionary. And kaleidoscopic in terms of like all of the different elements that it brings together, but the voice is so clear and the language is so just devastating. I'm not going to stand up here and just rave about this book, but again, we do have copies of the book back there, and I cannot more strongly recommend that you don't leave here without one. That makes sense. Hey, very cool. Thank you all. Appreciate y'all. Thank you, Jess, for making that good. Is this the good one? Are we good?
Yeah.
Outstanding. So, without any further ado, Elizabeth Willis is the author of Liontaming in America, published by New Directions 2024, which is longlisted for the National Book Award. It's a hybrid book engaged with American belief and relationship structures, theater, activism, and film, and so much more. Her other books of poetry include Alive, which is published by New York Review Books 2015, which is a finalist for the Pulitzer Prize, as well as Address, Meteoric Flowers, Turneresque, The Human Abstract, and the artist book Spectral Evidence. She also writes about the intersection of art and labor and edited the volume Radical Vernacular, Lorine Niedecker, and the Poetics of Place, another one I would highly recommend. If you're not familiar with Lorine Niedecker, take this as a prompt. She teaches at the Iowa Writers Workshop. It's my great pleasure to welcome Elizabeth Willis. Yeah.
Before I started, first of all, thank you. What else? Bars, poetry, poets, libraries, bookstores. I just reminding myself of all the things I love, which are all kind of in this room. So I really appreciate being here. And hearing you all, it's a great reminder of just the incredible privilege of the perspective that poetry gives you into other ways of thinking, other ways of being. 50th anniversary plus, hearing somebody who actually had the job I coveted most as a child, the sign guy on the highway, and all kinds of other stuff. So it's really been great to hear you all. I don't think I knew that Ryan was a Jack Spicer fan, but just because of that, I'm going to read a couple of poems from Mediocre and/or Meteoric Flowers that in a way are kind of, Jack Spicer had a kind of, he was really a poet's poet, and also a bit of a, barfly is not the right word. He had a really serious practice of writing, but it also involved going to the bar every night, so anyway, for what it's worth. But there was a great politics kind of in the background of his work. So this is 2 quick poems from that other book. Primeval Islands. Oh, actually, that's the second one. This is one that Ryan's poem made me think of, Bright O'er the Floor. And I'll say that book, Meteoric Flowers, is actually kind of connected to the other book I'm mostly going to read from, because it began it was after the 2000 election, and when the Supreme Court decision happened, and then after the war began shortly thereafter, I was just noticing all the language that was being used, and there was a poem called the Daisy Cutter, and I just thought, like, oh my God, they've like taken the pastoral too. That's like crazy. So, Bright O'er the Floor. Suddenly the daisy cutter someone was waiting for. I hear the keys like modern ice on its way to hell. We safecrackers have come here for the job, a gasp among luggage, useless wings, hook and eye, assemblage as forgiveness. Get in the car on collaborative ankles. We're rowing like Greeks before those trees turn to treason, erased of all their writing. And I love that you're like snapping and clapping, and it's like super sweet, so thank you. And don't feel obliged. It's okay, I'll just like be barreling along. Primeval Islands. This I, this me, I'm speaking from a book. That brain that taught me delicious things, forgivable trains, a signal business. I don't want to be tragic, even to the gold-leafed bug. I, Walt Whitman, with Texas in my mouth. Dismiss this fantasy in favor of our startled shade. I remembered my tricks and what they did. Even apples aren't free. Our life against the midnight lens. Poor Crusoe on Mars. I'm walking through this wall of air to comfort my Senate. Thank you. This book, I love hearing all these poems that were just written really recently. This book I was working on for like 15 years, and I felt like I was dragging a sack of rocks around with me everywhere, so it's really nice to be on the other side of it and get to read from it. I really believe in the value of kind of being lost and finding our way through new territory. So there are a lot of things I could say about the background of this book. But I won't say very much because we can talk about it later if you want to. Basically, my family, both my parents came from small towns in Wyoming. We lived in Wisconsin when I was growing up mostly. And there's something about the whole arc of American history toward the West and Manifest Destiny and this like pattern of, what we were told was sort of inevitable in Manifest Destiny, like, oh, this was just sort of meant to be, and ways that always seemed profoundly problematic to me. And also, I'm really incapable of telling a story. So part of why I came to poetry is I'm a really slow reader, and so I wanted to read texts that really, sort of paid off if I was, not reading a ton of words. And also, I'm really interested in what patterns other than linear movement can do for us, imaginatively and even politically. So this starts in a kind of dark place and hopefully goes to some other places. And you know, if there's a question, like, feel free to just like yell it out or something. Most of my education in poetry came from similar spaces, so you know, just heckle, whatever. The end. This is the beginning of the book. The end. This book is not a memoir. Its memories are not mine. In the making of a poem, there is seldom a traceable path, only a kind of genealogy. You follow the leaf to the branch to the root. You don't see the dotted line that separates the purple state from the vibrating green territory. You're in the unlined interior, inhabited by names from the world that precedes you, sounds you can't yet pronounce. Words don't fall onto the page. They rise to meet its hushed expanse. Routes emerge in retrospect, fixed by repetition. Feet pound out a path through the scrub and grasses, knives of all sizes hacking through the trees. Then one day, the line is visible from space. The Oregon Trail, the Lincoln Highway, the Trail of Tears, the Northwest Passage. Sequence produces neither equivalent nor restitution. I'm not speaking for you. I'm speaking to you, America. Your foot still looks for streams and mountain passes, sandbars and natural bridges. You can't build a highway over every gap you see. You can't make a world by churning out a sidewalk. You don't even know the story you think you're trying to write. Where, in what shadow of a footprint, did greed start to sound like the whisper of your special God? A factual sensorium is buried beneath history's serialized fictions. Bodies still floating to the surface, graves erased by chemical lawns, voices thrown downwind. If you obscure intention, if you hide it in executive edict or legislative will or partisan imperative, you can justify an endless war. If you tuck it in a prophet's cloak, you can call it holy. Fallible, damaged, contradictory Walt Whitman imagined the nation as a poem, a great poem in need of constant revision, a union of disparate, endlessly modified parts. The first U.S. state. Ooh. Did I just lose it?
No.
Got it?
Yeah.
Now.
Good check.
The first. Is it coming in and out? Or is it my imagination? I can probably project. I don't know. You don't have to worry about this though till later. It's right at the end.
I'll just switch this real quick.
Oh, wow. Oh, thanks. Also, like, what a privilege to read at a good mic. Amazing. The first U.S. states to establish women's suffrage, which were, by the way, Wyoming and Utah, were built on broken treaties and industrialized extraction. What constitutes a union and how it touches its constituents is as variable as the location in which every human stands. On the high and windy bridge between what can and can't be said, the poem asks a question: how are we going to get across? The West has been witness to an idea writing itself with conquest's hand, right to left, east to west, clothed in a rhetoric that claims to be as natural as the planet's turning. Its pen is not mightier than its sword. It is with a sword that it learned to write. Such power is both real and imaginary, as the mission of real power is to lay hold upon the imagination. In most U.S. frontier towns, the wooden churches have burned or collapsed. The general store has been leveled to make room for the poured concrete of a supermarket already fallen from its sanitary grandeur into a block of parking spaces. The theaters converted into senior centers or dollar stores, or filled with starlings before one agency or another shuts them down. The Automobile Association of America's Guide for Wyoming lists more jails as historical sites than any other category of tourist attraction. Jails were made to last. Poetry, the true fiction, was meant to take them down. The first division of labor. Everyone wants to know what happens in the bedroom, what went on before we got here, what we're going to miss later on, how things appeared at the beginning and the end. Sometimes a man and woman, sometimes a single cell deciding to see the world, sometimes a grandmother split open to constellate the skies, a turtle, a frog, a bird or seed feeling its way to the sun. Sometimes a sun, unownable zero, an arrow, pure inflection, impurely imagined, edgeless time eating up its dream of space. The end of a line the first hand takes hold of. This is how the boat was built. This is how they pulled it ashore. One species or another, followed by a question. Salvage or slavery, gunpowder or corn, clothing or skin, trees or paragraphs, buffalo or boots, things I haven't thought of. One book calls it chaos, another an elaborate order we are too small, too partial to see in a story subcontracted to the gods. Another sees the beginning as a tree radiant with unknowing, a being whose future has not yet been written. She who wrote. You can tell these are almost entirely prose. The first writer to sign her name to a poem is said to be Enheduanna, a Mesopotamian woman who wrote on a tablet millennia before Mary's sun divided the clock into before and after. She served Inanna, Queen of Heaven, who appears with her foot on the back of a lion she's taking on a short-leashed walk. Part of Inanna's work is domestication, to civilize another creature as a mother would, showing the power of her existence through a body that will outlive her. Civilization is what makes childhood a captivity narrative. Writing is a refusal that captivity is the end. Oh, thank you. I need a little bit of water. How many of you grew up with religion?
Are we supposed to cheer?
No. I can sort of see. I'll just see some hands. This is called Letter to the Corinthians. Not that would be the only book you would read if you were growing up religious. Okay, Letter to the Corinthians. When I was a child, my eye was older than an oak. From the highest chair, I saw string beans move from my brother's plate into my mother's mouth when my father looked away. I watched my sister spit her peas behind the sink. A dog moved from the woods toward the kitchen door, the house unfolding like a book. I read my father's secret history of anger, my mother's dissertation on subterfuge, their parlor of doubt, the kitchen of their discontent. This was my host country, and I its virus. I witnessed a world that couldn't be explained, rhymed and unrhymed. Its alien talk floated above a blanket of verse. In time, I would adopt its pattern language. I would deliver its messages like a page. I would spy with my little eye. I would open and close like a camera. In the stories of that planet, I would find no character resembling myself, so I would place myself outside them in a poem. When I was a child, I hated lace. I buried all the dolls. I hid in the snow and thought about what it would mean to disappear. A little ghost whispering, "Help," testing its alarms. But when I was grown, I opened the box of broken dolls. And when it was dark, I held the tree by its branches, and all the childish words rustled back into the woods, into the purple snow. I knew there was a story larger than anything. At the back of the lens, the end was already on fire. I'm going to read, let's see, what is it? I'm curious what it's like to live on the Mississippi River. Like, do you wake up in the morning and, like, think, wow, this huge creature is flowing,
Yes.
like, right over there? Do you?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. The Union and the Divide. Water won't always tell you where it's going. The American dividing line isn't where you think it is. Plenty of rivers pour down the east side of the Rockies, sneaking north and west before they find their way to the Missouri or the Rio Grande. The Western River is more often green than brown, not a plodding old man, but a trickster who can look like anyone he chooses, there one season, not the next, sweeping away a town and drying up before the month is out. A river speaks geographically, but also temporally, revealing nearnesses and distances of mind. Rivers write with big cursive letters, boundaries, trade routes, passages gradually dotted with entrepot for the people and things about to be traded or transported somewhere else. The future is what you see when you look out over Jordan. It has its own syntax. It can talk you into a lot of things. In Greek mythology, a river might take you to the mouth of hell. In the Pilgrim's Progress, a river marks the boundary between the hero's trials and his salvation. For the Pilgrim's sister, it's a passage from earthly coherence into divine battle. When the shore touches your hand, everything becomes clear. Precisely at the moment when you can no longer be understood. Jacob met his angel on the banks of the Jordan River. Mr. Smith's angel found him by the Erie Canal. Those who followed Mr. Young named a new Jordan that emptied into an intermountain basin of salt. Jordan was the kind of river that linked the living and the dead. Sometimes a river laps the muddy line between north and south. Sometimes it cuts the serpentine edge between liberty and bondage. When you cross it, you can't always go back. Thank you. So I wasn't sure how long it would take to read these. If you've got a few minutes, I'll read a couple more pieces. Okay. All right. So this is what these images are for, and I don't know how easy it is to move them, like to go to the next image from here. So this is an image that was made by Florence Nightingale, and so she appears within this. There are several people that appear in this little series. One is Florence Nightingale. She was a nurse in the Crimean War, and she decided that people weren't understanding why so many soldiers were dying, and so she made instead of having it on a chart of numbers, she turned it into this configuration that sort of looks like a spiral. And I don't know, if it's hard to move it along, maybe I'll just read you, well, maybe what I'll tell you, I'll describe what else is there. Ryan, you've got it. Looks like. Okay. There's another one where this amazing writer and thinker W.E.B. Du Bois made a chart. He was dealing with a different problem, just thinking about how you get people to see things and how different arrangements make something that you already know become clear. W.E.B. Du Bois was kind of looking at the tragedy of Reconstruction in the South and saying, like, yeah, everybody was promised like 40 acres and a mule, that didn't happen. People are still living in poverty, and so he made these charts that he called data portraits, and they take a similar, actually keep going, that's, just go to the next one, we're not doing that, that poem. Jean-Michel Basquiat, Charles I. How easy is it to go forward? Yeah, that's okay. Well, I'll tell you one thing that's it. Charles I, this painting makes an appearance in here. Like I don't show the painting, but Charles I was beheaded in England right when after Cromwell took power, and the people who had him beheaded fled to the shore of America and were hidden here. So it's, just in terms of like thinking about legacies of violence, it's kind of interesting. I think maybe I'll just cut it out and I'll just describe what we're doing, so that we don't have Basquiat being confusing. Yeah. You can just turn it off. Okay, so this is sort of about trying to see from other perspectives, like what does it mean to see something from above? So Florence Nightingale, W.E.B. Du Bois, and then Robert Smithson made a spiral jetty in the Great Salt Lake. And I think the reason that he did it is because it was a mirror of this major strip mine, the largest strip mine, I think, still in the world. So you can imagine that, there's a spiral that descends. So I think that's probably, yeah, intermission. You'll get it from what I have to say. Labyrinth. A pattern seen from above has one kind of clarity. From above, there is a way out of the labyrinth. On the ground, you begin with a spider's thread. On the ground, you let go or hold on to follow a crooked line you can hardly see. I don't have a bird's eye view. I don't see the earthly flower from the sky. The war dead. In the middle of the Crimean War, not the first and not the last, a nurse uplifted and weighed down by undergarments noticed more bodies dying in hospitals than in the fields. In order to get the attention of the men who both oversaw and overlooked her work, she pulled her data into the kind of diagrammatic flower called a rose chart, though it appears less like a rose than a strip mine. The war was, like most wars, a religious war played out by national coalitions that at some point seemed to forget why they were there. Nationalism will mobilize around religious ideals, even when those ideals are surrogates for less easily justified motives, such as ownership of what is known or believed to be underground. The battle for a particular view is sometimes driven by those who would rather destroy it than share what they see. At the turn of the 20th century, W.E.B. Du Bois presented to the Paris exhibition his research on Black life in America as living information. His data works were, like Ms. Nightingale's, both portraiture and landscape, a vision of material reality that gave material voice to the failures of reconstruction. The work of the data portraits is the work of perspective, a cross-cut interval, a working of art, to make of what is already known a revelation, a formal pressure toward the work of consciousness. Rearrange what you know to make a new version of the visionary, the prophetic, the inspired, the revelatory, to see the tired facts anew. To what end? So as not to repeat history in oblivion, wrote Teresa Shaw. Earthwork. The spiral jetty, by the way, and that mine are just down I-80. Straight shot. 2,000 miles. Straight shot, though. Earthwork. Look at the Bingham mine off Utah's I-15, and you'll see a hole whose downward spiral is visible from space. A wound big enough to surpass the past's ability to correct itself. When the desert was told to blossom like a rose, this is the dark flower it became. Its form rhymes with the mythic labyrinth later echoed in Robert Smithson's Spiral Jetty. On your way to the jetty, you'll pass the Golden Spike Monument, purported to unify one of the continent's nations by rail. At the edge of the salty lake, who or what is being joined or pulled apart, extracted or buried? A landscape of extractable wealth and all its underworlds. The earth as a body, its bodies treated like dirt. Histories rewired, unrepaired. From above, the jetty looks like a fiddlehead fern, a mineral fern at the lip of an unfreezable inland sea, or a tightly wound question on the tip of a tongue. Future imperfect. I had to stop writing in order to clean my desk. I had to stop writing to speak with the angel of dust. The card I pull is strength, not speed. Something in the body reaching for something outside it. I'm looking for the wave that rises like a wall, reaching for Octavia Butler's prophecies, not science, not fiction, but the capacity for thought beyond narrative and recorded fact. A field that can think about what a feeling knows. Parables are tools of directed attention. One part moves around inside you, the other circumnavigates your blood. A story reading you as you read it. Where does it, the it that is also you, come to rest? What risks do you feel at the threshold? Where do you place the fear that you won't come back from wherever it's taking you? The it that is thought. I'm watching a serrated line move across the map, the sound of a finger pointing away from what it's done. I'm listening for the bell, for the machine to stop, dishes in the kitchen, the sound of a person I love, my system crashing as the sprung door bangs shut. Anon. In the imperfect wobble of the glass that separates my desk from the world outside, a woman stops on the sidewalk across the street. She wears 2 large backpacks, one facing forward, the other back, and carries a large shopping bag in each hand. When she pauses, she sets down the 2 bags in her hands, but leaves her packs on. How often have I had a private moment in public space, aware of how easily I could wander out of one category and into another? It was Linnaeus who broke the world into 3 varieties he called kingdoms, but he owed most of the breaking to Aristotle: animal, vegetable, mineral. Who is the king of my kingdom? Who says what distinguishes the crow from the grass or from the petrochemical film in which my food is wrapped? It occurs to me that my situation may demand the reinvention of both myself and my relation to others, what it means and what it costs to hold something together. One path or another blows up before or behind my limited view of the road. In Octavia Butler's parables, empathy is a disability in the world at large and a superpower for the writer as long as she can survive the impact of the world that surrounds her. It is clear in these parables that it is the author, not her protagonist, who is writing the scripture in which her text is grounded. Butler writes a book about a book that imagines a new world that is a refuge from the violence of the past. Here is a path, here is where I fell. Don't let feeling throw you off your game. Yes, it is too much. Turn the page over, write it down. And this is the last poem. I didn't invent the world. I have lived on both sides of the continental divide, but most of my adult tears have flowed into the Atlantic. I want to know death and yet live to tell it, to feel the presence of the world with detached compassion. I want to emerge from the heat of the car forever, to lie down between the cruel lines and sleep in the pages of a book. Charles Reznikoff of Manhattan and Los Angeles said, "I didn't invent the world, but I felt it." When another person says out loud the words you have inside you, a sticky, silky bond forms between you. I am a leaf on your tree, as you are on mine. You whom I don't know, I feel you in my skin. You've been holding my hand while I slept. I've been leaning against you all along. It was your nearness that made the train's clatter sound like a lullaby. Wherever we are will be a house forever. I feel your breath against my neck. Oh, fearless comrade, our bed is made of awe. Intended, so I hope you're all with me.
Woo!
Oh, okay, all right, thanks. Yeah, so I don't know, if you want to hang out, talk, whatever, I'm here. I don't know, Ryan, did you want to do anything at the mic, or it seems like it may be time to just chill out, right?
For sure. Absolutely, I wasn't sure.
Whatever. Yeah, it's all good.
Sorry.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Good, you remember. Okay, good.
Give it up one more time for Elizabeth Willis. Keep it going for Sophia Best. Keep it going for our open mic readers. Keep it going for Ross Cox. We will be hanging out. We'll be selling books in the back and talking about all the cool stuff that we have coming up. Our next and final Spectra reading for this season will be 2 weeks from tonight, here with MC Highland and Liz Clark Wessel. Come join us. It'll be beautiful. Hang out. Come see us in the back. Thank you all very much.
Let's hear it for Midwest Writing Friends.